Man, don't do half of what I did there. All right, welcome back. So we're building a brass resonator and we're a bunch of episodes in now. I'm sorry this takes me so long, it just does. If you missed the last episode, we worked on this fretboard and we got that fretboard made on there. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. It looks really nice. I like the detail in it. And then we worked on getting the binding back on here. If you guys remember, I had trouble the first go around with the binding and yeah, guess what? We had to redo it. I know. I think for this episode, this arrangement's nice and all, but it's not going to work out good enough. I think we need a neck back here. I don't think StewMac sells Bluetooth tuners, so we need something to hold the tuners. So yeah, let's see if we can make a neck for this guitar. Ideally, this neck we make for this guitar would turn out a lot like this one. It'd be nice if it had some really cool stripes down the middle with the veneers in there as some extra fine detail stripes. It'd be super cool to use some really flamey maple so that when we put finish on it, it'll look amazing. It'd really pop out and just match kind of just how cool a lot of the other features on this guitar are. It'd be really nice to do some little changes to the tailpiece so that this neck is lighter than the other two I've made. It'd be nice to pull this angle back up this way a little bit because on the other two I had a steeper angle. So it'd be nice to adjust that to something kind of like this one. So yeah, let's see if we can get us a neck that's as nice as this one and make one for that guitar and use it. Oh, you know, we could just use this neck. Yeah, let's do that. Here's how I made it. Okay, cutting this middle piece was going to be pretty tricky because this neck blank was going to just barely be wide enough where it meets the body. And I didn't want to cut this thing bigger on one side than the other. So I spent a bunch of time here making sure I was cutting it exactly down the middle so I didn't have to plane one side of it a whole bunch more than the other and then end up with the overall neck blank being too thin. So I was really trying to split hairs here. That's why you see me fiddling around with this so much and making sure I cut it right down the middle. So this 9-piece glue up took me about 11 days to finish, but it's all done and it was time well spent because it came out perfect. Like it's really, really good. That's gonna make a cool looking neck on this thing. I like it. Okay, so I think now we can cut out the profile of this thing from the paper plan that I had shown you guys earlier. And I'll probably just spray mount that paper plan right to this neck blank and just start cutting this into a neck. All right. So if you think of this top edge as, you know, just a flat surface, you can see we're flat where it goes into the body, but then right here it starts to angle down. And so because I've tapered the sides on this guitar, I've made that down angle on here at 2 degrees. So I'm shooting for a 2-degree angle here, plus the angle that the body is at with the tapered sides to give me that greater breakover angle at the bridge. I know my blank isn't tall enough to do the full depth of the heel here, but that's okay because the heel gets a cap on it anyway to kind of hide the stripes and make it look all nice. Okay, that gives us a really roughed out neck blank. I mean, really roughed out. You can see there's some work to do right there where it transitions from flat to the 2°. I got some work to do on the tail back here, but you'll see that coming. I got a new plan. I want to try and make this neck a little lighter than the previous neck, so I got something going back there. Now we got to start making this into a real neck. Okay, this neck is pretty well cleaned up using a myriad of tools and things. One of the things I really like to see once I cut it is, is my glue up good all the way through it? And I'm super happy about the fact that, yeah, it looks good. So I'll tell you what, it sure is a nice change of pace to just do the woodwork part of these builds, because I've been doing that for a long, long time. And so it goes really easy and I'm super confident and it goes fast and comes out great. Whereas doing those metal bodies, it's like still, I'm getting experience slowly, but it's like, man, it's just so nice to just switch to the wood and just do a neck. Like I can just bang out a neck, no problem. Next thing to do is get the truss rod slot in it. And once I get the truss rod slot in there, then we can start looking at the sides tapered, get the wings glued on, get the veneer, there's a whole bunch to do. So we'll see how far we get with that. Okay, I'm sure some of you are thinking, why do you make the maple pieces so long if you're just going to cut them off? And the short answer is, I don't know. I think on future ones I'll try to not do that. Okay, it's nice to know I did something right, because I've got this fretboard placed on here right at the 25-inch scale mark back to the center of the cone, and turns out I'm exactly dead on 12th fret to the body. So yeah, all of that math worked out good, and we can move on now. I think next we're going to mark out where this fretboard sits on the neck and then taper the sides of the fretboard. Taper the sides of the neck. Yeah, then we can start working on getting this to fit up nice and start getting the holes in the body to attach the neck. Perfect. Okay, I'm sure you guys have never really wondered about where these super cool sanding blocks come from. They come out of when I cut all these things apart. That's where they come from. The nice thing about them, and what I really like, is that I put a lot of time and energy and effort into truing up my neck blanks so that everything's all square and even and flat. Because I trust that these are perfectly square and flat and great, I think they make great little sanding blocks. And so what happens is, you know, I put this sticky back sandpaper on them, and over time the sticky stuff starts to gum up on the bottom of it, and usually about that time is when I've made another neck, and then I have a new sanding block. So here we go. I guess apparently I got really inspired on this one and made little things so you could like hold it, you know, like it's pretty handy actually though. So maybe I'll even do that to this new one and retire the old one. Okay, this is falling together nicely. We got lots of work to do to make the heel fit right. Obviously this color is way off right now because it doesn't have any color or tint or stain or oil or whatever it is we're going to use. But really happy with the way it's all fallen together. The quality's there, the fitment's there, the intonation's going to work out perfect. I mean, everything's great. What's next? I think the next thing to do, I'd really like to tackle this headstock, but I just haven't decided on a design yet. I mean, I love the slotted headstock on the Resonators, but it would also be nice to do one that's not slotted, that just has the holes, the 3-on-3 holes. I know what I probably need to do next. I need to put the veneers on this. I don't know if I'm going to do the back yet. I may only do the tops and you'll just see the stripes on the back. I'm not sure yet. Let's start with getting the veneer on the front though. Okay, I got my veneer done on the headstock. Came out great. I think I do want to just leave it a no veneer on the back and to just show the stripes through. I don't know, you guys let me know what you think. Maybe we all think I should veneer the back too. I think this guitar's got enough exciting features going on with it that it doesn't need a super fancy headstock. I think just a plain straightforward headstock would be really nice on it. I think I have decided to not do the slotted headstock and just do the, you know, 3-on-3 individual tuner type headstock. So maybe something more like that. Just very simple, understated, I think is what we're going to go for on this. I think right now what I want to do is get the hole in the veneer for the truss rod, get the truss rod in there, glue on the fretboard, and then maybe start doing frets. You found the sawdust pile, did you? I see you found the biggest mess you could find in here and then laid in it. Is that what you did? You laid in the biggest mess you could find? Thank you. Really appreciate that. Okay, I decided to take advantage of some of the scrap from the neck cutoffs to make the cap for the heel, which is just that, and it'll go on there and get all shaped up. Once this heel is all shaped and everything, I think that's pretty cool. Saves me from having to glue up another thing that's detailed and cool. So yeah, let's glue this onto there, and then we'll start figuring out what to do next on the neck. Here's an example of me being inconsistently consistent. I do frets different, seems like every single time. Sometimes I glue the fretboard on, then I put the frets in. Sometimes I get all the frets perfectly length and round it over on the end and filed and done, and then I put them in. Sometimes I do this where I just make them fit and then I cut them off, flush trim them to the side of the board. I don't know, it just depends on how I feel, I guess. I'm inconsistent about how I go about things sometimes, but I end up with a consistent result, and I think that's all that's important. I just keep myself entertained by doing this different stuff all the time. So this is one of those inconsistently consistent processes right here where I'm using the angle grinder with a 36 grit flap disc wheel on it. I don't recommend that if you're new to using those wheels on wood. They're gnarly and they take off material fast. That's a sketchy maneuver. Sometimes I put a big roundover bit and I round over those shoulders. Sometimes I just attack it with that, whatever that yellow file thing is called I use. I would recommend being more consistent than I am, but you know, sometimes it just makes it entertaining to do it different each time. Okay, here I'm doing something that I do not recommend doing if you are new to carving necks. I would not use an orbital sander on your neck carve, because what'll happen is you'll end up with a low spot in the middle, and you'll end up with the sides being all wavy, and they'll be narrow in the middle and wider on the ends. It's just not a good thing to do if you aren't comfortable with this. I've done enough neck builds that I know what to look out for and how to keep from ending up with the problems that you can have if you use an orbital sander on them. Okay, I'm making real nice progress on this carve. I'm going to call it's about 90% there. One thing I'm realizing with these resonators is, you know, the heel doesn't play much into the role of stability. They're all bolted to the top and bolted in on the neck stick and so much, and so the heel really doesn't do much. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to start getting rid of more and more of it just to get it out of the player's way. Like, one thing that I really like to pay attention to is that when you glue up these laminate necks, you know, do you have the angles of the grain going the right directions so they match, right? Like, it'd be really easy to have accidentally flipped this one around and made it so it kind of goes at this angle and this one at this angle, and to me that just looks funky. Not that anybody would ever know or care, and it probably doesn't even matter, but I don't know, stuff like that bugs me. There you have it. Okay, all you longtime watchers of this channel, prepare to be shocked. Look what I have. If you don't know what those are and you don't know why to be shocked, you're not a longtime watcher of this channel. All right, that was awesome. I'm super thrilled to be this far along on this neck right now. It didn't take me any time at all. In fact, you probably noticed this video came out pretty quickly after the last one, and that's just because it's woodwork, and woodwork is easy. There were a couple of things I did in this video that I think I already mentioned, but I don't recommend doing unless you're super comfortable with it. One is I would not take a flappy paddle wheel with a 36 grit disc on it and shape your neck and, you know, roughly shape your neck with it. Like, That's super sketchy if you're not used to doing those kind of things. The other thing I really wouldn't do, I did this, I think the first neck I ever built, which was a disaster. It was kindling when I was done. I used an orbital sander on the first neck I ever built. And what happened was I ended up with a low spot in the middle, and I ended up with a low spot in the sides. The whole thing was just out of whack. Nothing was straight, nothing was flat. It was a mess. So if you're not comfortable making necks, just don't take an orbital sander to it and you'll be way better off. I mean, you can totally do it if you're used to it and you kind of know what to look out for. One thing that's probably the most important is whenever I'm shaping a neck, I just make sure I don't use that file thing, I don't use a sander, I don't do anything that touches the joint where the fretboard meets the neck. As long as all your carving is on the other side of this joint, you're usually pretty safe with whatever tool it is you use. I mean, once you get some experience with it, then it's great. But if you're just starting out building a neck, man, don't do half of what I did there. Okay, that was awesome. Super happy that we got this neck that far along. You know, one of the things I was really struggling with was, is this the right shape for the headstock on this guitar? I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it before I cut it. I kind of was thinking, boy, it would have been nice if this video had dropped before I shaped that headstock to get some input from everybody, but I think that's a good choice for this one. It's going to be simple and understated because the rest of this guitar is just over the top. The binding, this you can't tell right now, but the flame that's in this neck, when this gets color and finish, it's going to be really busy. All of the striping and everything in it, the wooden grills, it's got plenty of great detail to it. So I don't think it's a big deal to have kind of a plain headstock on it. Simple, straightforward. I think it's fine. Okay, that's it. Let's get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Catch you next time.